Hi, my name is Burke, and I have one simple question for all of you. What is your excuse? The person I'm going to be sharing with you today is known for being the toughest, hardworking man you could possibly think of. In his life, he has had multiple hardships and can easily have decided to quit. He went on to become one of the most influential people in the world. I'm referring to none other than David Goggins. David Goggins is an established Navy SEAL professional athlete and author and a world record holder. These accomplishments did not come easily, however. They came through pain and suffering. David Goggins is viewed as an inspiration to many due to his determination and his outlook on life. He is a testament truly to what hard work can have you achieve in this world. David Goggins has paved the way for others to a successful mindset and a successful life based off of what he has endured personally. For the next 6 to 7 minutes, I will be going over the journey and story of David Goggins, beginning with his obstacles and ending with his accomplishments. So to start off, David Goggins did not have a good childhood at all. And per Joe Rogan podcast on the Joe Rogan Experience, he goes on to say that he was, the first black baby born in Millard Fillmore Hospital in Buffalo, New York. He also states that, his dad was a really bad influence on his life. His dad used to beat up his mom, his dad used to beat him up, and, they had to eventually move out of that situation. But, David had learning disabilities, he had social anxiety, he had all these different, fears, and eventually moved to Indiana with his mom after she had enough. And he was greeted by racism. He was greeted by, slurs, constantly being bullied in school, written all over his car, just bad things. And he knew his dream was he wanted to join the military. He knew he wanted to join the military. And he wanted to be in the Air Force. And to be in the Air Force, you have to pass like a watered down SAT test. And he took it because of his learning disabilities. He cheated his way through high school. He says this in the Joe Rogan podcast. And I watched this whole podcast. It's been an hour and a half long. He said that he cheated his way through high school and he couldn't cheat on these exams because they were A, B, and C structured. And he failed the first one. You needed 50% out of 90. Out of 99, you needed 50. He got a 20% on the first one, took it again, got an 18%. And then he, in his book Can't Hurt Me, he says that he was poor, growing up a majority of his life. And, his mom, bless her heart, was working 2 or 3 jobs, saved up enough money, got him able to get a tutor, and on his final attempt in 6 months, he passed, and he got to go to the Air Force and become a veteran. But to this surprise, he was met with some obstacles there as well. So he gets to the Air Force, and he wants to be a special op. He always wants to prove people wrong, and he ends up finding out that he has sickle cell. And from it didn't just occur right away, but what they do is to be a special op, they basically take your fears and they try to expunge it. And his fear was he couldn't swim, and he found out that African Americans were negative buoyant, and it was just hard for African Americans to swim because of this. And he decided that wasn't going to stop him at all. But like I said, he had sickle cell, and they had to revoke him from training. And once they revoked him from training, they basically told him that he had to go back and start from square one. He said, "I'm not doing that," just because he was so afraid of the water and so afraid of how it was going to be on his mind, and he was just he was an afraid person. So he quits. He ends up working for another part of the military, and at this time he gets comfortable, gains about 100 pounds, goes from 175 to 300, and at this point in his life, he's just constantly eating bad food, eating junk food, and he wasn't happy with life, and he ends up working for like Eco Lab as an exterminator. And he goes home one night, he watches this TV show, sees everybody accomplishing their dreams, and he goes, you know what, enough is enough. I'm gonna be a Navy SEAL. That's his dream. It always has been his dream. But he wasn't smart enough to go there before, so he went to the Air Force. So he had two options: keep doing the way he was doing, or chase his dreams and face his fears. And at this point in life, he was exactly what everybody said he was going to be. And in his book, Never Finished, he goes on to talk about how, he didn't lose the weight at first. He had to, the Navy rejected him straight up. They said, you know what, you're too heavy, you're 300 pounds. So he goes on to call the reserves, and they're basically saying, hey, we'll take you as long as you lose this weight. And he thinks that he can just run it off right away. And initially, he starts crying because he knows he goes on a quarter-mile run, ends up crying because he can't do it. And from that point forward, he basically told himself, like, I need to create a different persona. And that humiliated him. And he started waking up at like 3 a.m. It could be snowing. It wakes up at 3 a.m., goes on a run. Things that normal people think is absolutely crazy. And this became known as the Legend of Goggins. And just to lift up, just to show, these are some of the pictures of him whenever he was 300 pounds, and then whenever he dropped down to 175 pounds. And just to name off some of the accomplishments he's had, he holds the world record for doing 4,030 pull-ups in only 17 hours for davidgoggins.com. That website lists all the accomplishments, all his bio, everything that you can find on David Goggins. davidgoggins.com has it. This is a picture of him amidst the world record. And his hands actually looked a whole lot worse than that, but I don't think I could probably show that picture. And in one of the hardest races in the world, the Badwater Ultramarathon, he came in third place out of however many runners with much more experience than he had. But at this point, he looks in that shape, he realizes that nothing can beat him, and it's really just all about a mindset. And through his book, Never Finished, he goes on to become an amazing motivational speaker, and he is now the author of 3 best-selling books: Can't Hurt Me, Built Not Born, and Never Finished. David Goggins is an amazing person with his outlook on life. Through his hardships, allowed him to callous his mind and become the person we know today. For the past 6 to 7 minutes, I've gone over the life of David Goggins, truly the most inspiring man in my life, and hopefully now yours too. Because you can really see how, he was at rock bottom, and he didn't let anything, he had nothing, and the only way to go was up. In his book, Can't Hurt Me, he goes on to say that the most powerful thing in the body is the mind. And his motto stated in every single one of his books, every single one of his interviews that I've ever watched, he always says, what's your excuse, and stay hard. So as I leave and wrap up here today, the one question I want you guys to ask yourself is, what is your excuse?